Gonna call our regular council meeting of Tuesday, January 27, 2026 to order. Before we begin this evening's agenda, I would like to acknowledge the tragic events that recently occurred in our neighboring community of Cochrane. Over the span of approximately 18 hours, Cochrane experienced 3 structure fires, resulting in the loss of 2 lives. On behalf of council, staff, and the residents of the Township of Blackbird-Masson, I extend our deepest condolences to the families and loved ones affected. Our thoughts are also with the first responders who were called on repeatedly during this difficult period. Their dedication and professionalism do not go unnoticed. While these events occurred outside our municipality, they serve as a sobering reminder of how closely connected our northern communities are and how quickly tragedy can affect us all. We stand in solidarity with the town of Cochrane during this challenging time. Thank you. It was moved by Councillor Gattery, second by Councillor McCutcheon, be it resolved that the agenda for the regular council meeting of January 27, 2026 be approved as printed. All those in favor? Carried. The Township of Blackbird-Masson acknowledges the Apatipi and Assinipiq Nation traditional territory. We live, play, and work here together, and together we shall build a strong and inclusive community. A reminder to all in attendance that council meetings are recorded and made available to the public on the Township website for review. Do we have any disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof? Seeing none. Was moved by Councillor Bouchard, second by Councillor Gattery. Be it resolved that the minutes of the January 13th, 2026 regular council meeting be approved as printed. All those in favor? Consent agenda was moved by Councillor McCutcheon, second by Councillor Allen. Be it resolved that the consent agenda items listed on the January 27, 2026 regular council agenda be received by council, and that recommendations and motions contained therein be supported as presented. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Moved by Councillor Gattery, second by Councillor Morris, be it resolved that council for the corporation of the Township of Blackbird-Masson acknowledges its participation alongside Mixed Group of Health Services in the return of service agreement with local medical learner Ainsley Lougheed and extends its support. So today is a positive step forward for Blackbird-Masson. Physician recruitment is a challenge across rural Northern Ontario, and long-term solutions matter. Supporting local learners who want to return home is one of the most effective ways to build stable healthcare services. When a local learner commits to coming home, it's a win for the entire community. Return of service agreements help turn that commitment into real, lasting healthcare capacity, and we are proud to support Ainsley as she takes this important step. This commitment reflects strong collaboration between the township, our health partners, and the community, and it speaks to the kind of future we are working toward. On behalf of council, I wish Ainsley continued success in her training, and we look forward to welcoming her back in the years ahead. Thank you. Any questions or comments on the resolution? Call for vote. All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Allen, second by Councillor McCutcheon, be it resolved that council for the corporation and township of Blackbird-Masson acknowledges the approval of funding under the Municipal Housing Infrastructure Program, Health and Safety Water Stream for upgrades to the Masson Water Pollution Control Plant. Questions, comments? Call for a vote. All those in favor? Carried. It was moved by Councillor McCutcheon, second by Councillor Gattery. Be it resolved that council authorize staff to provide 30 days written notice of termination to the township's current residential solid waste collection provider, E360 Waste Management, in accordance with the existing agreement. And further, that council authorize staff to enter into a 5-year sole source agreement commencing immediately following the expiry of the notice period with GFL Environmental for the provision of residential solid waste collection services at a rate of $2.90 per lift, inclusive of the supply of standardized collection bins for each residential dwelling unit. And finally, that council approve the associated agreement in a form satisfactory to the Director of Public Works and the clerk. Questions or comments? Councillor Allen.
Just a question. So, I know it says, one bin for each resident dwelling. If someone were to request a second one or to be able, is that something that is possible? Or would that change the amount? Like, I'm just not sure if one bin, because right now we're allowed 4 bags. So does 4 bags equal 1 bin? Kind of thing. And if it doesn't, are we able to get a secondary bin or whatever it may be?
Mr. Lefebvre?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. So the capacity of the bins would be very close to the equivalent of 4 bags.
Okay,
I don't believe that we would encourage anyone to have a second bin. That would essentially be our limit
okay,
for each one.
well. So again, I'm just, so I know we had that snowstorm and that was obviously not something we normally have to that extent and stuff. So we had 2 weeks where there was no garbage picked up. And then following that, we were able to put out as much, well, our 8 bags or whatever was needed to put out there. Now with this bin program, that is not going to be eligible to us anymore because they have to be in the bins. So that's why I'm wondering, because there might be people out there who do like have bigger bags, fill them more, whatever it may be, and most of them will be fine. I'm just curious if there will be an option for something like that to make sure going forward, if we have something where we have 2 weeks of not being able to pick up, how are we going to dispose of it appropriately?
Mr. Lefebvre?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. We're gonna have to be diligent in making sure that weekly collection occurs. So we may have to reschedule in the event of well, significant weather, but we'll have to make sure that we get that collection done.
Okay,
Similar to the recycling.
okay.
Councillor Bouchard?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So for, according to the document we received, right now, we're paying $2.30 a lift. And, but the proposed, the old company, E390 or 360 is saying that it could go up to $2.90 in 2027, right? So that means if we agree to this new company, we'll be paying almost $20,000 more this year than we would have with the old company. Right?
Mr. Lefebvre?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm not sure if I haven't done the calculations on the 20,000. I can tell you that the current contractor has identified that they'll be increasing their costs per lift for each of the next 2 years, and that in 2027, I'll let the treasurer correct me if I'm wrong, but it will be $2.90 per lift. That's without the bins being included in that price. So part of the difference there obviously is that this 5-year agreement is going to subsidize the cost of those bins as well. Another thing to consider is with the current service provider, we're paying for approximately 80 or more lifts each week. So with the new contractor, you'll be receiving a bin, you have recycling. Each lift that they do is recorded with their truck, and we're going to be billed in accordance with the service that we're providing. That makes sense.
Yeah, okay, so I just want to make sure that if there's because we're only paying $2.30 now, And they're charging us for 80 extra houses, basically, is what they're saying, 80 extra lift. So it'll kind of counteract itself, is kind of what we're looking at, or?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, we're gonna be, it'll definitely counterbalance. We're actually at 255 per lift currently. It went from 235 to 255, and then we're gonna go up to the 290.
One more question.
Councilor Boucher?
One question on their contract, they have a 5-year term with CPI 5% yearly, so is that?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, that's gonna be a yearly increase. That'll be the only increase, over the term contract, CPI.
So 2.5% increase per year?
Yeah.
For 5 years. So what's gonna be so how much is that increase from, let's say it's 290 now, so be what? 3. Yeah, I guess it's not good.
Yeah, so we'll still be in $3 at the end of the year.
Oh, yeah.
Don't quote me on that exactly, but it's gonna be CPI for those 5 years. So. Yeah, we're just shy of $3.
And the other company, we didn't have any contracts with them to state the fixed price or anything?
No, we're currently on a sort of a year by year or by month even contract with them. The contract's expired in 2023. So again, as you notice, we've gone from 235 to 255, which is almost 10%. And when we go from 255 to 290, we don't really have control over those cost increases without locking into some sort of a service agreement.
Okay.
Any other questions from council?
I'm sure you got one.
Oh, Councilor Boucher.
Sorry, just reading my notes, sorry. Which other municipalities using the GFL?
I can't tell you exactly which ones.
Like is anybody else?
So essentially, every northern municipality right now is using them for recycle. Some of them is switched over for solid waste collection as well. I don't have a list off the top of my head.
Just making sure they have the service available to trucks and stuff. All that.
We did check on it.
The nice thing is we can do a 5-year plan now, knowing what our price will be. Add on that to the accuracy of the billings and the speed of the billings, but. Yeah. Any other questions from council? I will call for a vote. All those in favor? Here. Was moved by Councilor Bouchard, second by Councilor Allen. Be it resolved that council receives the verbal update regarding the 2026 Rural Ontario Municipal Association Roma Conference as information. Me, I guess. You can tell me when I'm wrong. Mr. Jaguar and I went down on a snowstorm. We met. Our delegation was the Minister of Infrastructure. We met with them early Sunday morning, I believe it was. We thanked them for their funding announcement that they've provided us. Again, we reiterated our issues and our situation, which is similar to every community in Ontario. Can't really report much on that other than we were prepared for the meeting, and I think we did well in representing what our needs are. We also met with Ministry of Municipal Affairs when we were down there. We had a discussion with them. We had a discussion with our DSAB out of Cochrane. We had a discussion with the ONR, railroad and Northlander update. We had a discussion with Aqua, our water treatment people. We also had a roundtable on the Sunday night with four provincial ministries. Ministry of, oh boy, help me out here. Infrastructure, Minister Peary,
Urban Development,
Northern Development,
Rural Affairs.
Minister of Rural Affairs, yeah, and one other one.
I said three, you could say one.
So yeah, we had a good roundtable, and that was the Highway 11 corridor that we had the roundtable with, was the people from pretty much from us up to Valrita was about the first one.
Mhm.
Yeah. So very good discussions, and we were given the opportunity to just give them the state of the nation that we have here, and it was well received. Promising, but we still have a lot of work to do with them, and that's why these conferences are so important, is to keep that conversation going. Mr. Jagger and I also met with a developer while we're down there, and we also met with another mine that's interested in continuing to develop here, as well as putting a lot of infrastructure within our community. So it was very, very busy 3 or 4 days. And then we came home in a snowstorm. And I don't think there's anything I missed.
No, sir, your worship.
So I don't know if there's any other questions, otherwise I will call for a vote. All those in favor? Move us on to reports. It was moved by Councillor Allen, second by Councillor McCutcheon. Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of CAO 2026-001 year-end report as attached for information purposes. Questions or comments on that report? Councillor Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Is it possible, just for clarification with residents and things like that, to get I don't know, some sort of standardized schedule from the CAO or the Public Works? I don't know how that works, for the plowing, just to kind of acknowledge the fact that everything is, like, you guys are doing a great job, don't get me wrong, and everything, but we're consistently hearing the complaints online and stuff of, oh, why isn't my road done? Why isn't my road done? So like highways, secondary, just as like a general overview to let people know in what order these are done, and that might give them a little more understanding as to why their road's not done yet.
Judge Jagger?
Thank you, if I can. So, couple of things. If people actually have a complaint, they should be calling the municipality so that we can log it in our system and track those appropriately to make sure that we are hitting everywhere. Mr. LaFave and myself also have a meeting coming up with a third party to look at how we can start tracking where our plows and our graders are at, and start to define our actual routes to make sure that we're hitting everything as efficient as we can.
Okay.
So that's another thing that we're working on. One area where we for sure want to get better at is when we have like planned snow removal. Like tomorrow, please don't park here and here. We plan on doing snow removal. Those are all things that as we enhance our tools, we'll be able to get more accurate and get more information into the public.
Awesome. Other than that, you did a great job.
Not me.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments on the CAO report? I will call for a vote. All those in favor? It was moved by Councillor Gadry, second by Councillor Bouchard. Be it resolved that council acknowledges the receipt of CLK 2026-004 year-end report and EA 2026-003 grant activity memo as attached for information purposes. Questions or comments? Councillor Morris.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to commend our clerk on his amazing work that he's done to bring our records and our policies and procedures up to date. He was left with I don't know how to say this lightly, but he was left with not a very organized system, and he has managed in a very short time to bring us round to where we need to be, and I know that he's working on making it better in the future. I was able to see a spreadsheet he made, and it's pretty fantastic, so I just wanted to thank him publicly for that.
Okay. You and your partner do a great job.
Staff.
Staff, team, you and your team, our team. Any other comments, questions regarding 12B? Counselor Allen.
I am very happy to see the grant activities update, seeing all the things that we are applying for. And the possibility of, being recipients of this funding is awesome to see on paper, and to see that we're moving in a direction where we get to see what the grants are, we get to see what kind of money we're applying for, and what possibilities are open for our future. So I commend the staff on doing all that hard work. I know it's not easy, and I'm sure those pieces of paper are not easy to fill out. So good job.
Thank you, Counselor Allen. Counselor Morse?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have a quick question though, of the grants that we have here. I'm just wondering if any of them use a third party like Grant Match. And if they did, what did it cost the township?
I will put that through to Mr. Jagger.
Mr. Lee will
Mr. Lee?
fill that one.
Through the mayor, we use Grand Match, not on every application, usually for ones that are more complex or with higher funding level, because they require more application commitment. Usually it's about 10% for the overall funding or what we pay for it. But we only pay them if we're successful on the application. So sometimes we look at a large amount, like $1 million, and it's better to have secure funding for 90,000 than try to get the full million, right? It's all about risk assessment. But we only pay if we're successful, so.
Counselor Morse?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was just wondering, on average, how often do we use Grant Match? Is it common?
Through the mayor, we're trying to use them less and less because as staff gets more familiar with applying for grants, when we get more comfortable and that we believe that we'll be more successful. But it's still a transitional period, so we still reach out to them from time to time.
Any other comments? I will call for a vote. All those in favor? It was moved by Councilor McCutcheon, second by Councilor Morris. Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of T 2026-02 year-end treasury report as attached for information purposes. Questions or comments on this report? Councilor Morris?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was just wondering, under the funding, the Green Energy Solar Project, it appears that it keeps escalating the number that we were originally, that years ago council was originally said that that's what was gonna cost the taxpayers. And I was just wondering if Ms. Larson could give us a breakdown of what it actually has cost us.
Ms. Larson?
Don't have all that right in front of me. The grant keeps going on, as I mentioned, even through the budget process, we had to put in budget figures for an environmental assessment because scope of work had changed. They put the panels on the ground rather than on the roof. Plus they want a financial audit, so we're trying very hard to wrap this up. The original budget figure, if I'm not wrong, was 1.1 million. The municipality's cost was supposed to be about 222,000, and we're closer to the 900,000 right now.
Councilor Morris?
So I'm just wondering the total, do you have the total cost? Thank you.
Mr. Jagger?
I think what we should probably do is if we want a breakdown of the actual cost and where it's cost municipalities, we should let us bring back a report to mayor and council on exactly where the expenditures were and what we're expecting for 2026. Bring it back in a report.
Yeah.
Just to
Okay.
make sure then we have accurate information, and it gives staff time to pull the appropriate information together to make sure that we're accurate.
Okay. Will that work, Councilor Morris?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. You don't need anything for that then? Okay. Counselor Gavin?
I just wanna add, for the first time in a long time, we've had our budget. Done in January, so I'm so pleased with that, and I think Sonia did a terrific job on that, so.
Great, thank you. And actually, I can say that that was a comment that we had at Roma when we were down there, there's a lot of people commented on. How our community has approved, but also the fact that our budget was done and that we know where we're going, so. Counselor Allen?
I just want to give kudos to Ms. Larson as well for the fact that 2 years of auditing was happening. As well as creating a budget, as well as going through all the other stuff that we put her through on a daily basis. That is not an easy task for anyone to take on. And I believe her and her team did an exceptional job of catching everything up and moving things forward in a very quick manner that we asked for the world and she gave it to us. And sincerely appreciate that. So thank you very much to you and your team.
A night of accolades. Counselor Bouchard?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Getting back to the solar panels, I think we're gonna come to a point, we're gonna have to make a decision to stop spending money on it. We spend a lot of money on it, but we're way almost double what we're supposed to spend on it. We still don't have any revenue from it. And eventually it's gonna get to be a bit like a big pile of scrap that we can't use, that we keep spending money for taxpayers' money and not getting no revenue.
I'll
I
let
mean,
this,
it was a big point when I got put on this council that it should have stopped right there and then, but motions are already in place.
yeah, I'll let Miss Larson speak to that.
Thank you through your mayor to council. We had hoped, or when I completed the final claim, that it would be the final claim. We've been trying to wrap it up, but we had to commission the solar panel. Like, there were things we had to finish to complete the project, and even at that, and doing the final claim, the scope of work changed so dramatically. Items that I had hoped that weren't covered under the grant, that we would go with CCBF funding or something, has made it little difficult to do. Because if we decide now to use other funding, it could affect the grant funding we got. So we are trying to wrap it up, and I'm waiting on emails regarding the environmental assessment. I was directed by the funding agency to places I had to email regarding this.
But just to add that we are collecting revenue from it today, like it is commissioned. We are using the power from the solar panel to generate the arena.
But the panels are cleaned up.
They were, they might need to be cleaned up again, but yeah, no, we're generating power.
Counselor Morris?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Larson, when you say the scope of work changed, what do you mean by that? How did that come about?
If we had documentation from previous management, I probably could answer that. That's a question. Why the scope of work changed? We don't have documentation. Solar panels were supposed to be on the roof, ventilation system was supposed to be done, the dehumidifiers were supposed to be done. There's so much that was supposed to be done. That was, we got the Olympia resurfacer, that was purchased. We can't. I have no idea why the scope of work changed.
Counselor Morris?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to be clear that I understand that it's not on anybody that's sitting here. If there's nothing on you, I understand that it was stuff that happened prior to this. And kind of sorry that you have to be the one to clean it up though, but thank you.
And they have most of the grants that we closed over the past year. The funding agencies have been very understanding with our situation. This one's just a little tougher.
Alrighty, I will call for vote on this report. All those in favor? Was moved by Councillor Allen, second by Councillor Bouchard, be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of MCO 2026-01 report, RE 2025 year end as attached for information purposes. Any questions or comments on this one? Councillor Allen.
Just like to say congrats on the revenue from all the building permits and activity. That is by far a very, very high jump from what we initially budgeted and could have ever imagined, so. I'm glad to see that all the permits were able to get through and get processed, and we were able to generate some revenue from that. That is a very nice change.
Councillor Morris.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I also wanted to add that I've had nothing but people in my ward, nothing but good comments about the building inspector Matthew. It's just all been positive. So I just wanted to say that he's done a great job.
Great, we'll forward that information on. Any other questions or comments for the MCO report? I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Was moved by Councillor Gadry, second by Councillor McCutcheon. Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of DR 2026-01 year-end recreation report as attached for information purposes. Any questions or comments on the recreation report? Councillor Morris.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was just wondering, do we have a timeline when we're gonna be able to open the arena on Mondays and Fridays again?
Mr. Jagger, question?
Thank you, worship. We now have 2 employees there again. One is almost done their training. I know the director was working on a new schedule, and underneath that new schedule, I believe that the arena is going to stay closed on Mondays right now. Everything that we have booked, and that is pre-booked, we'll be able to take care of. And then in the event of someone wanting to rent the ice on the Monday, then we can make arrangements, but right now the arena will probably stay closed on the Mondays.
Thank you.
Councillor Morris.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also had a question about the outdoor rinks, because we had such high hopes for them to be open this year. And I guess it doesn't look like they're going to be.
So not to speak for Lisa directly, but in the communications I had with the director, fell short on some volunteers. At several of the rinks, the amount of snow that we received early on was also challenging. Hence the reasoning why in this year's budget, there was a part-time staff that was allocated to rec. And we're looking at presenting a new model next fall, that will hopefully help get the rink started and then have volunteers take care of them once they're up and running.
Any other questions, comments from council? Councillor Allen.
I just wanted to comment on the fact that our arena has been full. And lots of rentals happening, lots of hockey games happening, lots of practices and stuff, and it's really nice to drive by there. And see all the vehicles parked outside and the kids running in and out and everything, and it's just really nice to see that again, because it's been a couple of years since we've seen that kind of activity happening down there. So it's awesome that we are getting this kind of following in Matheson, and there's a lot of teams from Miracle Falls and stuff like that are coming down and using our rink. So we're getting more and more out there, and I have no doubt in my mind that next year will be even busier for the rink. So kudos to all the staff that are taking care of the rink and everything like that, and scheduling, I can't imagine that's any easy task on its own. So very good job. That's awesome. I'm really happy to see the arena being used to a lot more of its capacity.
Thank you, Councillor Allen. And before we vote, let's put a quick shout out for residents and all of us to going into the Craft Hockeyville. It's a good opportunity for us to win some money and put towards our arena for our kids, our youth, our seniors to skate, anyone. So if you haven't done it, please go and do it. Having said that, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Moved by Councillor McCutcheon, second by Councillor Bouchard, be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of FC 2025-11. November report and FC 2025-12 December report as attached for information purposes. Any questions on the fire report? I will call for a vote. All those in favor? Moved by Councillor Morris, second by Councillor Allen, be it resolved that council acknowledges the receipt of library 2026-01 CEO December report and December 8th, 2025 library board minutes as attached for information purposes. Any questions on the library reports? Wait, we'll call for vote. All those in favor? Move this on to bylaws, moved by Councillor Gattery, second by Councillor McCutcheon, be it resolved that bylaw number 2026-05 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council of the corporation of the township of Blackburn, Masson, be ready first, second, and third time and finally passed this 27th day of January 2026. All those in favor? Moved by Councillor Bouchard, second by Councillor Allen, be it resolved that bylaw number 2026-06 being a bylaw to authorize the levying of water fees and charges be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 27th day of January 2026. Any questions on this bylaw? Call for vote. All those in favor? Moved by Councillor Allen, second by Councillor McCutcheon, be it resolved that bylaw number 2026-07 being a bylaw to authorize the levying of sewage fees and charges be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 27th day of January 2026. Questions, comments? Call for vote. All those in favor? Moved by Councillor Allen, second by Councillor Bouchard. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2026-08 being a bylaw to authorize the levying of solid waste fees and charges be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 27th day of January 2026. All those in favor? Moved by Councillor McCutcheon, seconded by Councillor Allen, be it resolved that bylaw number 2026-09 being a bylaw to enter an agreement with the Solicitor General be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 27th day of January. Questions, comments? Call for a vote. All those in favor? Moved by Councillor Gattery, second by Councillor Morris. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2026-10 being a bylaw to authorize the sale of 352 and 354 Ferguson Avenue be read a first, second, and third time and finally passes 27th day of January 2026. All those in favor? Moved by Councillor Morris, second by Councillor McCutcheon, be it resolved that bylaw number 2026-11 being a bylaw to authorize the sale of closed road allowance between 331 and 339 4th Avenue be read a first, second, and third time and finally passes 27th day of January 2026. All those in favor? Moved by Councillor McCutcheon, second by Councillor Bouchard, be it resolved that bylaw number 2026-13 being a bylaw to enter an agreement with the MTO be read a first, second, and third time and finally passes 27th day of January 2026. Call for a vote again. All those in favor? Moved by Councillor McCutcheon, second by Councillor Bouchard, be it resolved that this regular council meeting is hereby adjourned at 7:10 p.m. All those in favor? Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great evening.